NXT Spring Breaking takes place this Tuesday on the USA Network at BT Sports if you're watching in the UK. 7 matches have been announced. I'm not going to lie to you, really looking forward to this show. 5 of those matches I'm pretty excited for. It feels like it's good enough almost to be a premium live event for the NXT brand. So I'm looking forward to talking about a number of these matches. In fact, let's not waste any time and get straight into it. We're going to start off with the NXT Women's Championship. The new champion, Indi Hartwell, of course, winning that championship in the ladder match at Stand and Deliver, will be defending against the former champion Roxanne Perez and top contender Tiffany Stratton. Now, if we go into the quick story of this match, Indi Hartwell wanting to give the championship opportunity to the former champion Roxanne Perez. Of course, she gladly obliged. Tiffany Stratton, on the other hand, has used the underhanded tactics, saying that Indi Hartwell almost won as a fluke. She's an easy champion to beat. It's almost been the little story going around with a few of the women in NXT, Zoe Stark being another one of those. And of course, Indi did defeat her on NXT after Stand and Deliver. Will Indi come through and win here? It almost feels like the Indi Hartwell is the underdog story, really, when you look at this. Is she a worthy long-term champion in NXT, or is she going to be someone who's transitional who passes over to the next champion? And I think that that story actually leads into my prediction as well. I do think Indi Hartwell is going to get through this because, of course, she'd already made the match one-on-one with Roxanne Perez. She threw the challenge out to make this a triple threat match after Tiffany Stratton did the dirty talk to get herself into the match. I think Indi will find a way to pick up the victory, but who will she pin? I actually think she's going to pin Tiffany Stratton, and I think here is the reason why. Tiffany Stratton will use this as it was a 2-on-1 advantage, rather than the idea that if it was a 1-on-1 match with her and Indi Hartwell, that Tiffany would win the strap. Roxanne Perez, on the other hand, former champion, getting her rematch now rather than a big NXT show. Is she going to be caught up in the WWE draft? Could be a reoccurring question that I asked in this video, because for me, Roxanne Perez, she is ready for that next level. She doesn't really need to go up now, because in my opinion, she could be in NXT for a while longer. She's not been there for that long, but she's so good. She's ready for Raw and SmackDown now. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the swan song for Roxanne Perez in NXT. Of course, it's an appropriate time to have spring breaking. I think it could be a cause of where a number of talents could lose here and end up on Raw or SmackDown the following week. Next, let's talk about Lyra Valkyria taking on Cora Jade. These two were rivals before Cora Jade went missing for a while from NXT. She returned after Stand and Deliver. Looks like we're going to get to the conclusion of this rivalry here at this show. I'm going to keep it short, I'm going to keep it sweet. I'm going to say Cora Jade to pick up the win here. Again, I think Indi Hartwell is going to retain the championship. Therefore, we need heel challengers built and ready to go after Indi Hartwell. So if it's not going to be Tiffany Stratton, I think then the alternative could be Cora Jade. So I think Cora Jade picks up the win in this match. And I wouldn't be surprised if she played a little bit dirty to get that victory as well. We have a mixed tag team match next now. Fallon, Henley and Josh Briggs taking on Kiana James and Brooks Jensen. That's right, Brooks Jensen has broken away from Josh Briggs, the Brotherhood, also from Fallon Henley as well. Look, Henley and Briggs have been getting involved in the relationship with Kiana James and Brooks Jensen, and for good reason as well, because Brooks is being cheated on by Kiana, but Kiana has got the power card that seems to have Brooks following her every move. Of course, Brooks has not been good with the ladies. He now seems to have one by his side, and well, look, to be fair, he's listening to her. He is going to get heartbroken at some point further down the line, but in the meantime, it's a fantastic story that we're watching on NXT, one of my favourites to watch on a weekly basis, and to see now Josh Briggs now completely ditch the sort of, beer swigging, kind of bar brawling kind of guy that he was before. So now we're sort of dressed up in this sort of office environment that Kiana James has with her gimmick as well. That's quite fun. And if we go back to the sort of NXT Stand and Deliver with this as well, Brooks tried to cheat on that particular time. Josh Briggs stopped it from happening. Same when it came to the rematch for those NXT Women's Tag Team Championships that cost Kiana and Fallon Henley from retaining those championships and obviously from winning them back as well. So at the same time, I can see why Brooks has got a problem, why Kiana's got a problem, but let's be fair, the baby faces, they want to do things the right way, and they should do it the right way. But coming into a prediction then, Briggs says he wants to knock some sense into Jensen. Obviously, Fallon Henley and Kiana James don't need any reason to already mix it up in the ring. It should be a lot of fun this match, but we've got a character change in Brooks Jensen. For me, I think Brooks and Kiana picking up the victory with then the shenanigans, with cheating that works this time. I think that's a good ingredient to have in the story. I think the heels go over, and again, Kiana James could be someone that could be then a future contender for the NXT Women's Championship, because Jensen is by her side and could be one to try and help her get the gold. We've got a first time ever match, to my knowledge, coming up next now, a trunk match. It's Pretty Deadly taking on Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. This started at Stand and Deliver. The host with the most, Pretty Deadly, got a bit cocky backstage with D'Angelo and with Stacks, and of course that led to a match on NXT TV, but that wasn't enough to really solve the beef at the time. There were attacks backstage, of course, famously in the parking lot, that led to Kit Wilson actually being put in the trunk at the time. Pretty Deadly were not happy about this, and that led to a more vicious side, the side I've been looking for from Pretty Deadly, to attack D'Angelo and Stacks backstage in NXT. For me, I'm looking forward to this. Should be a lot of fun. Of course, D'Angelo and Stacks coming up with the idea of a trunk match. For me, the understanding of what the rules would be, similar to an ambulance match or a casket match, if you will. You've got to put your opponents in the trunk and put the lid down. Once the lid is down, you are the winner. And for me, to go into, once again, speculation station, I think Pretty Deadly are going to be called up to Raw or SmackDown in the draft. What better way to send them off away from NXT than being put in the trunk of the back of a car and driven off, almost probably in D'Angelo's words, to swim with the fishes, to write them off of NXT. So for me, my prediction will be Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. That puts them also in a good position to go for those NXT Tag Team Championships again in the future. So for me, that's my prediction. Pretty Deadly are going to either Raw or SmackDown, but they'll be losing here. Next up, we've got Andre Chase taking on a Bron Breakker. Of course, Andre Chase put in this position by Duke Hudson, because Duke Hudson may be the MVP of Chase University, but he refuses to stand up for that university. Seems to throw Andre Chase's name in instead. Of course, Bron Breakker has got a new attitude since losing the NXT Championship. He's attacked Carmelo Hayes. Of course, the initial turn happened at that moment. He attacked Andre Chase, of course, during that Chase U special presentation for Duke Hudson, and this past week on NXT, he actually attacked Odyssey Jones as well. So a lot of people getting the wrath of Bron Breakker. Let's be fair, let's not waste too much time here. Bron Breakker is going to be beating Andre Chase. There's no way Chase U wins this match. For me, Bron Breakker is no longer interested in the NXT Championship, so I think this means he'll be taking part in the WWE draft. I think he'll go to Raw or SmackDown. What's interesting is this character change could be what we need to get used to on the main roster. So maybe they're testing the waters here, and that's why I think a heel Bron Breakker is here, and heel Bron Breakker, of course, will pick up the victory. And so far, I've got to admit, I'm actually enjoying the character change of Mr. Breakker. Oba Femi will be making his debut on NXT next week. We saw a vignette for him basically throwing a lot of items around, and they're just basically smashing and breaking on the floor. A clear power superstar coming on, big muscle moves I'm expecting. Hopefully the next Bron Breakker. We need more of those, especially if Bron Breakker will be going up to Raw or SmackDown. And yeah, I've got high hopes for this guy. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the ring, and of course I imagine it'll be a squash match. So yeah, Oba Femi to pick up the win and hopefully impress on that debut. Last but not least, then let's talk about the NXT Championship. Carmelo Hayes defending against Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, of course, winning a Fatal 4-Way #1 contenders match to get this opportunity. But never surprised to some that he would get the championship shot this early. For me, it's one of two scenarios going to play out here. Remember when Grayson Waller had the opportunity at New Year's Eve to become NXT champion? There was a screwy finish that led to him getting the title shot at Vengeance Day. They could do something like that again if they want to extend this feud with Carmelo Hayes and Grayson Waller. Or they could do something where this shot is done now for a reason. I've mentioned the WWE draft a number of times on this video. If this is the main event of this show and it's one and done, I expect Carmelo Hayes, yes, will be picking up the victory, retaining the championship. He's just won the belt after all. Grayson Waller then would lose and would be free to go up to Raw or SmackDown, because what would be left for him to do in NXT? After all, this is a guy who was viral. He doesn't necessarily need the championship, he said, to be relevant. Well, let's see if he can be relevant on Raw or SmackDown, because for me, I think it's option number 2. Remember last year in NXT, randomly on the show, we got Bron Breakker versus Gunther after WrestleMania, and I thought, they're getting this big match away for free, for nothing. Bron Breakker won as well, clean as a whistle, and of course then Gunther was on SmackDown that following week and has been undefeated ever since, and is on road to be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time if he holds the championship for the remainder of the summer, which will surpass the Honky Tonk Man's record. Will Grayson Waller have a similar story here where he loses to Carmelo Hayes and is called up in the draft? it's certainly a possibility. But keep an eye out. I think placement of this match on the show is going to be key. If it's the main event, I expect it to be one and done. I expect Carmelo Hayes to win clean, and I expect then Grayson to go up. If it's the middle of the show, we could get something similar to what happened at New Year's Evil, and it could build for NXT Battleground for Carmelo Hayes and Grayson Waller. So I think placement is everything here. But one thing is for sure, Carmelo Hayes is not losing the NXT Championship this soon into his reign. But that's all for me anyway. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button, share with a friend as well, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. It's your turn now to get involved in the comments below. What are your predictions for NXT Spring Breakin 2023? I look forward to interacting with you and seeing what your thoughts and feelings are about this show. Check out my other videos on the side of your screen right now. Plenty of things going on now. It's draft season, ladies and gentlemen, so there are lots of videos on the WWE Draft 2023, and more of them are on the way on this channel as well. So plenty of reasons to subscribe and turn notifications on and keep an eye on what's going on with this channel over the next couple of weeks or so. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube.